Oh, I better pay attention here. Happy Funky Friday, people. I didn't change the header, so I'll fix it while I'm talking to you. Good morning, everybody. Who's here? I can't see because I have the question and answer thing up. There we go. Hello, happy Friday, happy day after Thanksgiving. I'm still full from last night, and I am, holy smoke, did we have a lovely meal yesterday. Of course, I cooked most of it, so that's not part of it, because my wife's a great cook. And, but we had to help out with getting one of our good friends, my son's mother, here, and we had a lot of people over. It was fun. Ate a lot of that stuff. Ooh, boy, did we have a feast. So there you go. I'm 5 pounds heavier today. But there is some news. Just because it was a holiday here doesn't mean it was a holiday everywhere, and things happen in the world, and there's some strange goings in the homeland. At least one of my homelands over in Ireland. And there's still a lot of stuff obviously going on in Israel, Gaza, all that stuff. So we'll get to as many headlines as we can before I have to leave, and we'll go from there. So I hope you all are ready for a lovely show. Please, Johnny, play the intro. Ready? Right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yes, let's do this thing. Stop the music. Oh, hey, Gunfox is already up. How you doing, brother? Thank you for dropping that article. I'm going to check this out, too. Oh, good. That's in the theme of the show today. Well, sort of. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel, where we suffer from tryptophan poisoning. No, not really. You know, it's funny. So I made the feast for our house mostly, but our friends brought pies and some stuffing. But by the way, here's a question for you guys, and you can just answer this in the chat. Just type in a word, okay? Do you call the bread stuff that with the seasonings and sage and sometimes oysters and sometimes whatever you make in your stuffing and whatever, do you call it stuffing or do you call it dressing? Because I remember growing up, my dad used to call it dressing, not stuffing. So I'm just curious if anyone here has ever heard stuffing being called dressing. It's curious to me and probably nobody else, but I just thought it was one of those quirks that, and he's not the only one I ever heard say it either. You know, you want someone, maybe it was my grandmother. Well, that's his mother. So maybe that's where he got it from. But does anyone call it dressing? I call it stuffing. Now, I probably called it dressing when I was a kid, but anyway. So, we had a lovely meal. I did a turkey. I didn't spatchcock it. Someone said something about spatchcocking it, but I did do the same technique where you separate the thighs and legs from the rest of the turkey because they cook at a different temperature and you got to cook them longer. I mean, so here's a couple secrets to making a good turkey, and it doesn't necessarily have to do it the way I did it last night or yesterday, but you have to have temp the turkey. You got to, if you can get a remote thermometer, whatever, temp it, whatever you got, because you only want that turkey to get to about the breast meat probably to 165, and then the thighs and legs to about 170, and that's one of the problems. So one of the problems when you cook it whole, the underside doesn't get cooked. So what I do is I don't separate them completely, but I cut through so that they're separate, and then yesterday, what I did was once like the breast got to temperature, you pull that out. You got to. Oh, the key thing though with turkey, you have to let it rest before you cut it. You cannot cut the turkey too soon out of the oven, otherwise all the juices go away. It comes out dry as F. So, and since we had a 22-pound bird, I let it rest for an hour. If it's smaller birds, you can probably go up to 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But the bigger birds, you got to go to about an hour. And so I let it rest, and then you cut it, and then you cut. I cut the entire breast sections off and cut them out, into sections, pieces to eat. But yeah, I separated the legs and thighs and then put them back in the oven because when you cook it all together, the reason people usually don't like dark meat is it doesn't get cooked enough. And so you have to put that back in the oven and get that all the way up to temperature too. Because like when the breast was done in this bird that I did, it was at 165 degrees, but the thigh was still only at like 145, about 145, which you shouldn't serve it until it's at least up to 165. And I like to do them up to about 170. So we just take that whole section out, put that back in the pan, put it back in the oven until that got up to 165. And I have a nice little, I have a thermometer that you can put in the turkey while it's in the oven that has a wire that sticks out, and then it has a little remote thing that I can carry around and see where the temperature is. And put that back in with the bottom side up so that skin would get crisp too. And then, you just turn it up. Because I did it slow at about 270 degrees oven for like 6 hours. You can do them at 375 for, X number per pound, but I like to cook them slow. And then, so I did that, and I made my famous sweet potatoes. Everyone loves my sweet potatoes because it's a simple recipe, but for whatever reason, nobody else makes them the way I do. And then I made that little corn casserole stuff, and I made some mashed potatoes, and I did collard greens, which there's a couple people they like to come to our house on Thanksgiving just because I make collard greens. And we had some roasted root vegetables, and our friend brought stuffing, and boy, it was so good. But I only ate one plate. I'm trying to be disciplined. Since my surgery, I've lost 35 pounds, and I still gained about 5 pounds back yesterday. But still, it was we had a great time. We had all the people that came enjoyed it, and we really had a great Thanksgiving. So, and I'm hoping that all of you who celebrate Thanksgiving American style also had a great Thanksgiving. There's a lot to be thankful for. Despite all the craziness in the world, we can always find things to be thankful for. And I was just really thankful to, have my wife, my daughter, my son-in-law, and the baby here. And we got to talk to my son, who was out in Denver. He didn't get to come home this year for Thanksgiving. And then just all the people that came, couple grandmas and some friends, some very close friends of ours that we always invite, and had a nice little gathering of 14 people and had a wonderful meal, and just it was great to have a day where your only purpose is to give thanks, and so that's what we did. All right, but I also have something else to give thanks for, and that's you. You guys come and watch a show, and so I'm going to do my thing like I do. First, though, I got our first sponsor today. Gunfox 61 dropped a Hamilton in the tip jar, and you are you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you, Gunfox 61, who says, let third worlds in and they start rioting and stabbing. Well, no, you got it. Well, you got that a little bit wrong. Well, you got it wrong, at least in one part of that. But the stabbing, yeah, that definitely was happening. The rioting, though, part of it was people who said F these third world people. But anyway, we'll get to that article along with the others about what's happening in Ireland. It's some people said, yeah, we ain't, they started going all they went all twisted sister on it. We are not gonna take it. Oh no, is that Quiet Riot or is that Twisted Sister? No, we ain't gonna take it. That's Twisted Sister. We're not gonna take it anymore. Anyway, that's what they're saying in Ireland. At least it seems to be. Oh, but of course, anytime that you do something against people who may have migrated there in some ways or form, of course, you're going to be labeled far right. So we'll get to it. I promise we're going to get to it. I promise we're going to get to it. Oh, you know what? Good thing about Gunfox. The thing about leftovers, though. So, my son-in-law, my daughter, were there, and the baby, the lovely little Lily, and also one of his friends, who's a close friend of his that comes to most of our family gatherings because his family's all back in Maryland, so they always come, and he's basically we just consider him another son. And we sent all the leftover homes with everybody else. We're like, you know what? I don't want to have all this food around because I don't eat that much anymore. I mean, we have some leftovers, but for the most part, because when I cook for 14, I generally actually cook for about 40. And so I make so much damn food that we have enough so everybody can take leftovers home. And this time with our son-in-law Jess and Mo, who came to our family gathering, anything that we didn't send with everybody else, we pretty much sent with them. So I have very, very little leftovers, and I'm actually very happy about that. We have a little bit of turkey, a little bit of the corn stuff, and maybe no sweet potatoes. I can make sweet potatoes anytime I want to. And so I'm happy. The only thing we do have leftovers of are pie, because my daughter made 2 pies, not realizing anyone was bringing pie. And then our other friend, Christine, she brought 2 pies. And I didn't think anyone was bringing pie, so I brought 2 big-ass Sam's Club size pies that we didn't even touch. So I might have to give those to the neighbors or something. Who knows? We got more pie than I could, than I had eaten in a long time. Again, thank you again. By the way, thank you, Gunfox61 sponsor show. Dropping another Hamilton. Keep it with the European thing, Dutch. What up with you? Well, we'll do that one too. So thank you for dropping another Hamilton in the tip jar. And if you want to sponsor the show, by the way, you can drop a deuce or more in the tip jar. I'm pinning the link at the top of the YouTube chat, and I'm dropping it in the Rumble chat. That's the best place to do it. Streamlabs link, which is pdognight.live/tip. If you want to drop a tip in the tip jar, and if you can write an ad for something crazy, be a sponsor, or you could just drop what you're going to say, and I will drop what I'm doing, and read what you got. So, thanks for the people who sponsor the show. Thanks to people who come here every day and participate in the chat. I appreciate you very, very much. Speaking of which, how about we say good morning to those people? So first in the chat over on YouTube, Mr. Avocados Diabli gets the bell and a theme song. Also, good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg. You might even be able to give us a little insight into what I'm going to talk about today. So we'll see about that. Also, good morning, Anonymity T, a.k.a. T2. I'll be back. Good morning over on Rumble. On YouTube, first in the chat, also, Avocados Diabli. Also, good morning, Kara Soldier, Mike Savage, Blarg, the Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor, Mr. Tyre, Alexander is in the house. Good morning also. Wait a minute, Go to Hell Big Tech. That used to be Fake News Expert, but looks like it's Go to Hell Big Tech now. Oops, changed my screen name again. Oh. Well, there you go. I know you're formerly Fake News Expert. I recognize the Avi. You just changed the name. Good morning to you. Also, hello, Tyler F. and JB's in the house. Nice to have you here. Cool Frog's here. What's up, my brother? Good morning also to Boom Her. What's up? Gunfox61, the administrator of the Discord server for the P-Dog Night channel, and extraordinarily news hounding human being. Also, good morning to Zed the Snarky. What's up? Good morning. John Arnott. Hello to Jason Who. Jason Who? What's up, Jason Who? Good morning. And that's everyone who said hello. So if you haven't dropped just your name in the chat, do that. I'll say hi. 24 people here, 7 likes, which means that's a terrible ratio. Let's get that up to at least 20. And good morning, James Stoner. What's up? Nice to see you. All right, let's get into, we'll do trending topics real quick, and then I have a few news articles which are related to trending topics. We'll get to Gun Fox's articles. If you want to drop an article in the tips section, that'd be great. I'll definitely do it today if I can, as long as I don't run out of time. Let's talk about what's happening in the world now. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. I got a couple thank yous. Thank you, Somnambule Nation, of course, for tweeting out the show. Are you here? I don't see you here. Did I say hi to you? Oh, I'm sure you're here somewhere. So good morning, Somnambule Nation. All right, let's do the news. So first, trending again, number 1 on the social medias, is at least the one I'm talking about, the app formerly known as Twitter, is Thanksgiving. Oh, wait, what the hell's that? I can't do that. I got to do this. Let's try that again. Thanksgiving is still trending today. But it's funny because the first image that I saw about Thanksgiving today would be this one. And the caption reads, "No, I haven't seen the Thanksgiving leftovers. Why do you ask?" Look at that. Is that okay? Now that's a chicken, right? Hello, amazing disgrace. What's happening? I was being lazy. Consider yourself liked. Well, I thank you very much, amazing disgrace. Now, I'm curious. Do chickens do a puffy thing like some animals, like pufferfish? Do they do that? Because that's a crazy looking chicken there. That's sumo chicken. Yeah, that's a crazy looking thing. How about that? And then now the next one though I thought was funny too, because I like to do at least a couple of these. I can't scroll too fast because I don't want to see penises and boobs, but here's a good one too. Happy Thanksgiving to all my homies. Stay safe. Because the FBI is probably watching you. Jesse Leon, what's up? In your hotel room in Tulsa, what the hell are you doing in Oklahoma? You know what they say about Oklahoma? I don't know. It's the only reason Texas doesn't float off into the Gulf of Mexico, because it sucks. Or if you from Officer and Gentleman, Oklahoma is for steers and queers, and I don't see no horns on you, boy. Remember this? The drill instructor said that. Okay, let's see. And then I don't need this. I don't want to see some chick twerking. Hang on a second. Let me find something else. I'm not thankful for that. I'm not going to scroll. Happy Thanksgiving. Are we too late? Yeah, no, I'm not watching that. Let me see here. Nothing better than sweet Florida to start your post-Thanksgiving morning. We're on to San Francisco, and we're getting back to work, getting to the White House. Okay, he's on a morning show. Here we go. How about what Joe Biden said? Okay. Biden said to Al Roker, and I don't know why he was talking to Al Roker. I'm not sure. He said, on this Thanksgiving, Al, we have to come together. We have to bring the nation together and treat each other with a little bit of decency. And then the Biden campaign then apparently has your handy guide to responding to crazy MAGA nonsense is Thanksgiving. So there's a little bit of contradiction there by the old president. Let's see, Thanksgiving without a Republican, and this is someone who's happy about Joe Biden. Thanksgiving without a Republican in the White House are always much better. No botched pandemic, no Slovenian call girls, no violence-laced racist traitors. What the hell are you talking about? Slovenian call girls? That doesn't mean anything. Here's someone, Mag Michelle. Good morning, listless vessels. I just got word the day after Thanksgiving will no longer be referred to as Black Friday. The White House thinks it's racist since it's a day people are rushing other people to get good deals. Biden is proposing White Friday. Okay, this is a joke. It has to be. Biden is proposing White Friday since it wouldn't be racist. Our cult leader would like other options as to what to call Black Friday going forward. Have a magnificent day. Again, it's Friday of color. I think that would be appropriate. That would be appropriate. It's Friday of color. Someone yesterday said African American Friday, but no. We prefer Fridays of color. Friday of color. And, by the way, I obviously doesn't seem like many of you are out doing Good Fridays deals because you're here. Well, Mike Savage is late in the afternoon, so I suppose you might have done that early this morning. Do they even have? Wait a minute, they don't even have Black Friday in Ireland because you don't do the American Thanksgiving on the day we do. So there you go. He accepted a bribe from a turkey and got from the turkey pardon. Yeah, well, that well could be. So anyway, good. Thank God I didn't have that on the screen. Why are you shaking your... And why are you... Oh, my God. I have to scroll past this. Oh, my goodness. Hang on a second. Oh, goodness gracious. People do weird stuff on the internet. And I just don't... Okay, I guess I'm going to skip beyond this now. Because... Oh, wait, what's this? Oh, this is interesting. Here's something that happened on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day harassment from Jack Smith's office. This letter was sent from Jack Smith's office on Thanksgiving to the D.C. Appellate Court challenging President Trump's appeal of his gag order. The letter falsely accuses Trump of being responsible for alleged threats made on social media against New York judge and their clerk. So here's the letter. Let's read this. This is to the clerk of court, Mark Langer. Mr. Langer, the government submits this letter pursuant to federal rule of appellate procedure to notify the court of a document filed on November 22nd, 2023. They did this on Thanksgiving. Why would they? They delivered it on Thanksgiving. To notify the court of a document filed on November 22nd, 2023 in connection with the appeal of an order imposed in New York versus Trump et al. Index blah, blah, blah number, which was referenced in the party's briefing and arises out of an incident that the district court discussed in October 16, 2023 hearing. Specifically, the government refers to Court Exhibit E to be attached, the attached affidavit, which is sworn affirmation by an employee of the New York State Unified Court System assigned to the Judicial Threats Assessment Unit, discussing the defendant's October 3rd, 2023 social media posts, which resulted in hundreds of threatening and harassing voicemail messages that have been transcribed into over 275 single-spaced pages. Because the parties referenced this matter in their briefs and the court inquired at oral arguments about evidence of ongoing threats and harassment, the government respectfully submits Exhibit E, blah, blah, blah. Why is the Department of Justice, they're meddling in an appeal in the New York versus Trump at all? That's a state case. Why are they submitting this in the federal court? Well, this says United States versus Donald Trump, but they appealed an order in the New York case, and the judge in the New York case, the appeals court in the New York's case, temporarily waived or temporarily suspended the gag order, pending further, consideration of it. But they suspended the gag order in New York. Why is Jack Smith meddling in that case? It's not his case, not his court. It's not even, his jurisdiction. So that's fascinating. So anyway, that's Laura Loomer posted that. I don't know why that's important on Thanksgiving. All right, let's move on from Thanksgiving because the next couple topics are also related. So also thankful is trending. And so a lot of people are talking about what they are thankful for. Here, I can't take chances. I can't scroll on this anymore because you never know. Boobs and butts, and peni show up if you don't take caution. So Juanita Broderick, the woman who had an unpleasant encounter with Bill Clinton, thankful for the memories of loved ones no longer here. Well, that's very nice. That's a nice one. Thankful for the memories of loved ones no longer here. That's definitely having good memories. Good morning, Simon Wolfwood, by the way. I see you there. And Ronan Wolf. What up, Ronan? How you doing? And also Maddie's probably in the house. Thankful for my baby girl. That's a good one. Eric Couch. Look at this dude, man. 1 year ago and 140 pounds ago versus today. Decided to recreate my Thanksgiving picture from 2022. However, the shirt is more like a dress now on me now. I can relate, man. I had a lot of I had some sweatshirts that, you buy a sweatshirt and then it shrinks and it usually still fits, but I got so heavy that they just like felt like I'm wearing a skin suit, and since I've lost all this weight, my sweatshirts fit again. All my favorite sweatshirts fit again. One of them being my Gettysburg sweatshirt, which my mother-in-law mended the other day. So and also when my daughter hugged me yesterday, she's like, "Oh my God, Dad, I can get my arms around you." I was like, "Oh, well, thanks, honey. I'm glad." It feels good for that, but still. Anyway, Donald Trump Jr. also put this post up. Hope you all have awesome Thanksgiving. Be thankful that the FBI is watching the real domestic terror threats. That's funny. So anyway, lots of people posting what they're thankful about. That's cool. Also related to Thanksgiving, people are posting about turkeys. Now again, I have to be careful. I'm going to take it off the screen and scroll gently scroll gently before I put it on the screen, because you never know what you're going to get. Catturd, has anyone already made a turkey sandwich this morning? Okay, that's a good question. Any of you? Okay, tell me the truth. Who this morning has already had at least one bite of Thanksgiving leftovers? I did. I had I had just a little tiny bit of stuffing with my eggs and sausage this morning, just because it was. So if you've already had, put a 1 in the chat if you already had a bite of Thanksgiving leftovers this morning, and if you have not, put a 0. Good morning, Rod Line. How you doing? I'm still in a turkey coma. Yeah. So anyway, turkey's trending. Now this is a turkey that you probably would not want to have participated in. That turkey looks like it's just a little bit overdone. Just a little bit outside. Unless that's like a tofurkey or something, some crazy crap like that. Let's see. Oh my gosh. This lady made Chef Boyardee canned macaroni and cheese. Oh, nasty. She did with American cheese over the top. Oh, now here's the thing. Okay. And me being a bit of a connoisseur. Oh my gosh, she had canned ham too. Wait, that wasn't it. Hold on. We gotta watch this. Hold on. Oh my gosh, this was her Thanksgiving meal. I am devastated. I am so sad. We're gonna watch this. I want to see what the hell the words are on this. Here we go. This is look at this. Okay, let's see here. Let's see who she does here.
Lord, Mama, you got amazing.
Josh, not today. Josh, you
Oh, there's a turkey in there. Okay, she had a turkey. What is this? What is this fresh hell?
So aggressive today.
Josh, I got a lot to do.
Are you serious? Canned macaroni and cheese, Chef Boyardee? Oh, nasty. I make really good homemade mac and cheese. Well, here, let me real quick. If you make macaroni and cheese, now if you're in a hurry, yeah, sure, the Kraft stuff that you eat when you're a kid will suffice, right? But not for a Thanksgiving meal. And I cook my pasta. I make homemade cheese sauce. I shred the best way with macaroni and cheese, by the way, is to shred cheese. Don't buy pre-shredded cheese because they have this kind of an emulsifier on it that makes it hard to melt it. So if you just buy block cheese, shred it yourself, that cheese melts good. You put a little butter in the pan, you add a little bit of flour to it, then you add a bunch of seasonings, which I do salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, a little tiny bit of Cajun seasoning, whatnot, and make that out. Then you add your milk, and you get the milk hot. Always add warm milk though, don't add cold milk. Heat up your milk first, then We'll put it in the pan when you're mixing it in there. And then you take your shredded cheese, you add it in there, and you melt it out to the sauce. You pour your cooked pasta into it. Then you set that aside. Then you get your pan. You put layers of pasta and then layers of cheese that melt on top of it. So I do a 1 layer of pasta, layer of shredded cheese, layer of pasta, layer of shredded cheese. Set that off to the side, and then you bake it at like 375 for about 30 to 40 minutes, and you get a nice, just consistent mac and cheese with a little bit of brown on the top. Oh, it's so good. But this fresh hell, what is she doing? Get mac and cheese out of a can? That's nasty.
I've been trying to help you all.
And here she goes. She got a canned ham too. Are you
Put down the
serious?
phone and go put this ham in.
She's doing a canned ham? Oh,
Oh
God.
my god.
That's the same ham that your grandma used to use all the time, Josh. Now, that's
For what? For omelets? I suppose you could use that for omelets.
Am I doing this right?
That's
thin slices.
thin slices.
That's fine.
It's like, well, I mean, look, if you're out here eating spam, I mean, spam is a. Look at that. Ugh, nasty.
Did you finish?
Ooh, the pineapples are my favorite part.
Oh no,
Yeah, that's
no.
Yeah, they're so good.
Oh, this is painful. Putting some. Oh my God, are you kidding me?
You're on to something. You get.
Lord.
Oh, that was good.
I know you getting this knocked out fast, and you were stressed out. Oh my god.
Josh,
look
close
at
that.
And that bird, there's no brown to that bird at all. You gotta have it roasted. You can't put it in
I
a.
don't know how everybody else makes theirs. That's how I
You
make
can't put it in
mine.
that. You can't. Oh my gosh, her green bean casserole is with
You need more cheese.
crushed crackers.
You want some more cheese?
Okay, I
You
would.
don't even eat green bean casserole.
That's not how you make green bean casserole with Bacos and. Oh my God, woman! This whole meal is
It's
canned.
browning. You see that?
Yeah.
Well, not if you keep taking the top off. It's not gonna brown.
Calm down.
Holy shit!
Want to take it.
What else? Now what's she opening up? Oh no, canned yams. Oh, Lord.
Usually you don't do that.
Look, okay, hold on. Stop. This meal makes me want to cry. Look, you buy sweet potatoes. Okay, you buy now there's a bunch of different kinds of sweet potatoes. Do you know there's like several varieties of sweet potatoes? So I get there's a white sweet potato, and then you have some yams, and then I use red garnets, yams, and white sweet potatoes. A little about the same amount of both. You chop them up in these little cubes. You put them in a pan. You put a layer of brown sugar over them, and then you just take sticks of butters and thin slices and lay the butter over the top, and throw that in the oven. That's all you need to make sweet potatoes. You don't even peel them. Just wash them, chop them up, put them in a pan, layer brown sugar, layer butter over the top, put that in the oven, let that cook, And that's about an hour. It takes about an hour for that to cook at certain degrees. And then you just mash them up, and it's the best sweet potatoes. And it's so simple, but people think, canned sweet potatoes are so nasty. Holy shit. Anyway, here she goes. So her whole meal comes out of a can, and then with the marshmallows. I don't do the marshmallows. Oh my God, she's going off on the marshmallows. So she's gonna throw this whole mess in the
That's
oven.
Marshmallow. Yeah.
So so we just made this in advance.
Wait.
We're not gonna cook it right now.
No, we gotta cook it tomorrow.
I thought you were gonna cook it.
Oh, this is for
And then
tomorrow?
heat it up
This is for
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
No.
Oh, good Lord.
You know what?
What?
Those little white square things that came in this container when I opened it,
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was. I threw it in the trash.
What was it?
The lids. Well, I can't believe I missed that.
Oh my gosh. So now she's going to throw that in the oven tomorrow. That.
Your life makes me sad.
That's all I can say about that. That's nasty. Hello, Cyan Wizard. How you doing? Too much work. I use either shells or elbow noodles, cheddar, pepper jack, hand shredded, a can of condensed milk. Then I pre-shed 3 cheese on top, cooked till almost burnt crisp on top. Yeah, that's a good way to do it too. I'm not saying that, as long as you're using, look, shred your own cheese. Do not use pre-shredded cheese because pre-shredded cheese does not melt right because of the You know, the only thing pre-shredded cheese is good for is probably thrown on tacos. That's about it. All right. Let's see here. I'll never believe that's real. Some of us look. I grew up in a house that sometimes some of Thanksgiving dinner looked like that, and I that's why one of the reasons I learned to cook. All right. Oh God. See, there's a reason you scroll without it being on the screen. Tomorrow's menu: breakfast, turkey with cheese omelet. Lunch, turkey noodle soup. Dinner, repeat Thanksgiving with turkey leftovers. Saturday, steak, hamburger, bacon, and eggs. Pork chop. Okay, yeah, that's just someone's menu for the week. All right, I'm tired of seeing people masturbate on this channel. Let's move on. I'm sorry. Mac and cheese is also trending, which I've already talked about. And again, I can't scroll by taking chances. But here, okay, let's just stop. Let's just stop right here. I'm done scrolling because this is the one I wanted. This is how mac and cheese should look. Now they add a little bit of herbs into their topping. They probably add a little breadcrumbs or some stuff to it. But this is what mac and cheese is supposed to look like when you're done.
Y'all, this is my first time making it this way. It came out so good. So let's get into it.
Look at that. Now she uses several types of cheese.
First thing you want to do is shred your cheese, of course. And then you're going to boil your noodles. While your noodles is boiling, you can make your roux. And for that, you need a half.
Now, this is what I do, too. I make a roux.
And 3 tablespoons of flour. Then you're going to add a cup and a half.
I use real milk, but whatever.
And a whole bottle of heavy cream.
And she uses heavy cream, so she went dead deep.
Cajun seasoning, Creole seasoning.
Yeah, look at that. See, that's how you do it. Now you stir that up.
Onion powder, garlic powder, and white pepper. Then you're going to mix that together. After that, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of whipped cream cheese and a tablespoon of sour cream.
Okay, so she's throwing a lot of stuff in there. I don't even do all that. I just do the seasonings.
Now, when you make your cheese sauce, just make sure you add in your cheese slowly.
And you got to stir it.
Keep
and
stirring the entire time until you get it to the.
See, this is
cheese sauce. So first, it's going to come out like this. Then you're going to just keep stirring to it become thick like this, and then after that you can add your noodles.
That looks good.
So you add your noodles to the pot, and then you're just going to mix it together. Now it may look soupy now, but once you put it in the oven, most of that is going to dry out, so don't worry, it's not.
Oops, didn't mean to do that. Hang on.
Not going to be soupy.
And throw some cheese on top.
Make sure you layer it.
This is almost exactly how I make mine.
You're going to add your paprika and then your parsley.
Yeah, she showed a little extra seasoning than I do, but still.
You're going to put it in the oven at 400 for about 20 minutes.
There you go. That is what mac and cheese is supposed to look like.
And then here we got some delicious macaroni. It was so good, y'all. And at this point, I'm never doing a freaking voiceover again. I did this.
So she doesn't like making videos. Anyway, yes. Now someone says actually use onions and garlic, not powder. Well, yeah, I mean you can. Some people don't like the chunks of onion and garlic in their mac and cheese, though. I don't know why. So I tend to use the powder. But still, needs jalapeno. You can add jalapeno. You can add green chilies. You can add all kinds of stuff to it. But that is what mac and cheese is supposed to look like. And I don't even think I need to scroll anymore because, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. This one's funny. This one is funny. This is mac and cheese served at my father's funeral from an anonymous attendee. It has been 5 years and we still don't know who made this. This is some fresh hell mac and cheese. Look at they got all different kinds of noodles. They got some Kraft noodles in there too. And then they got some American cheese. Oh my God. That's terrible. That's terrible. What up, Mark Smart? How you doing? I'm thankful for food that will give me a heart attack. LOL. Yes, I am too. Hello, Gen T Maxie too. How you doing? And Rotten Corpses in the house. Nice to see you. Anna Lynn. Nice to see you all jump into the show. That is some nasty looking mac and cheese. They tried. It looks like they tried, but that, boy, if you brought that to, I'm not bringing that to a funeral. No, I am not. All right, let's move on. Other things trending. PETA is trending. Now, of course, on Thanksgiving, PETA is probably out there telling people not to eat turkey because it's cruel to the animals. And PETA got a little one of those reader community note things on one of their posts because they posted this. Here it is right here. This is from PETA. Saying, PETA, we're lucky turkeys would never do this to us. You don't have to do it to them either. Now, it's interesting because they have, notice the hands of the turkeys. They got, apparently they're depicting turkeys as black people, and then they're eating a human there, right? And then they have some guests here, some falcons that are white. So first of all, what are you trying to say, PETA? But then they got a community note on this too. This is amazing. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. Turkeys are not vegetarians. Turkeys eat mice, lizards, frogs, and just about anything they can fit in their mouths. If turkeys were larger and had the technological means to farm and eat humans, their current diet reveals they likely would. And then they had a link too. Here it is. There's a link to something about wild turkeys. Well, anyway, if you want to read about wild turkeys, but their biology and behavior, yeah, they eat all kinds. They're omnivorous animals. So, PETA, I have a message for you. Suck it. I'm having me some turkey. Anyway, so that's fantastic. And a lot of people are making fun of PETA for this. Now, this person, Dom Lucre, breaking, PETA is currently experiencing massive backlash after sharing photos of black people depicted as turkeys eating a cooked human. That's, well, I don't know if they got any backlash because I didn't really pay attention to the Twitter bot machine yesterday, but still, I'm telling you. Wait, what? I've seen the video of the bigger eagles making a shot for a bait. Oh yeah. Eagles can be nasty. They don't go for small animals, and even if it's a small enough human, they might try it. So anyway, PETA got their asses handed to them yesterday. Now let's move on, because it was Thanksgiving yesterday, and of course now some places, you know, the Christmas spirit started up a little early as November 1st. You start seeing some Christmas shit out there. But now people are starting to think about Christmas. So Christmas is trending. Now, I'm looking on here. Apparently people are just putting a lot of stuff out there because, you know, that's the next holiday that most Americans think about. And unless, you know, you're not, you know, if you're not Christian or you're not American. I'm just kidding. Anyway, Christmas is trending, and I'm looking at what people are posting. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. This is good. This one's good. This is a Godzilla Christmas tree. This is a Godzilla Christmas tree. Hold up. Take a look at this thing. Oh, hang on. What did I do there? I don't want picture in picture. I don't want that. Hang on. Here, let's try this again. All right, we'll try it again. I had a little brain fart there. This is the Godzilla Christmas tree. Look at that. With the feet for the stockings. Oh my gosh. Who came up with this idea? Who came up with this idea? Oh my God. Oh Lord. Okay, so that's let's see, what better way to celebrate Christmas than picking up ornaments of a cult leader's private 757 that you just paid to refurbish with campaign donations. Oh, you know, you can't get through any holiday or any special event without somebody taking a dump on Trump and his supporters. Let's see, Christmas cheese hamper giveaway. If you want to order that. Anyway, people are talking about Christmas already. Let's move on, because I'm already not ready for that. I got to put up a tree today. But it is also Black Friday, and Friday of Color. And so I have to be careful scrolling on Twitter on any topic nowadays, because I tell you, boobs, butts, penises, and more. So let's see what people are saying about Black Friday. We'll do it slowly. Redhead Libertarian says, remember, while Black Friday shopping today, to be respectful and turn your camera horizontal when filming any fights. Godspeed. Yes, that's exactly right. That's perfect. Dave Rubin, this Black Friday, remember if you live in a blue city, you can steal double the stuff you can from a big box store on a normal day. So at Best Buy, you can now walk out with 2 PS5s and 2 LED TVs. Yes, we can. Happy Black Friday. Maybe we should have a sale, lemonade for $1, but we can't go any cheaper. Cheaper was $25, now only $1. That's probably how Black Friday works a little bit. Happy Black Friday, Fox Business. Housing market price drop only seen a handful of times is coming in 2024. Morgan Stanley says home prices could drop 3% next year amid decline in borrowing costs. Well, there won't be a decline in borrowing costs. What's going to happen? Right now, the reason probably prices are coming down because there's 2 problems right now, and you would think it would cause prices of homes to go higher, but there is with the raise in interest rates, people are reluctant to pull the trigger on buying houses. So, it's when prices drop when inventory goes up, though. So, the market, probably you'll see more houses go into the market. Obviously, in the spring, it's just a cyclical thing. I hope house prices drop like a rock. Well, in a way, you want that especially if you're trying to buy. But if here's the thing: if you already own a home, you can ride any wave. You can pretty much ride any wave. If the prices go down, so the price of the house you're looking to buy when you sell your home. The problem is if they go down too much, though. Then you might not have the equity to buy the next home. But it's when you haven't bought a home yet is when you really got to worry. But I think, people who buy smart, like my daughter and my son-in-law, they bought smart. They said, how far can we move and still be viable where we work? And can we get a better deal? And they just chose a small town that's about 40 minutes away. And the commute is against, his commute, he works evenings, so his commute's against the traffic, and it works for them. There's so many factors in whether or not you can buy a home. But again, the interest rates, which right now are at the same interest rates was when I bought my first home, and still lower than what they were 10 years before I bought my first home. It's feasible just about any market to be able to buy a home. People do it, and so it's interesting. Let's see. My book has a massive Black Friday discount. Hardback, only £7 in the UK, for example. Nice. Okay, so people are huckstering their Black Friday stuff. Is it me? Or were the Black Friday deals much better under President Trump? I don't know. Anyway, that's because inflation. Well, yeah. Well, who knows? Here's the thing. I don't care about. I've never cared about Black Friday. I've never gone out and gone shopping early in the morning on Black Friday on purpose. One year, I just happened to be getting off work early from UPS, where I work I work early mornings. And I think I had to get something. And so I went to Walmart, and I'm like, oh my God, there's all these people here. You know when the best time to shop during the Christmas season is? It's not Black Friday. It's the Monday morning, which some call Cyber Monday now because that's their new gimmick. But Monday morning after Black Friday is usually the best time to shop, or Monday mornings, period, during the holiday season, because people don't go shopping on Monday mornings. And if you're able to go shopping, I'm talking about a grocery store, I'm talking about a department store, any place you go, if you can go there in the morning on Mondays, it's the best time to shop. So, all right, enough about Black Friday. Let's move on to Dolly's trending. Did everybody see the what game was it? Dallas and Washington. The Dallas-Washington game yesterday. Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders, who will always be the Redskins in my heart because I was a Redskins fan when I was a kid. They do, they have the Thanksgiving Day show games, one at Detroit and one in Dallas every year. And the halftime show for the Dallas game was Dolly Parton singing a couple of her greatest hits, and then she also started singing Queen, which was trippy. Hello, Selecta Boy. Yeah, boy. Dolly Parton was the halftime show at the at the Dallas game, and she came out dressed as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Now, some people, when they first saw her, they thought that she was trying to represent. Oops, hang on a second. I'm gonna put the no. Wait, I gotta mute that. So she came out dressed as Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, and I thought maybe, or some people thought, that she was paying tribute to a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. But, she came out here dressed like this. Now, I noticed something that during this performance, and I'll play this because without the music, how about I center that? That would be a good idea, huh? I'm playing it without the music because that copyright thing could be a pain in the butt. What was interesting though, I think she's having some trouble right now. I noticed that when she was on stage, she was walking back and forth in front of this little star that they have there. Notice how she's holding on to the star there. I think she might be having some physical problems. She said, now look, the woman's 77 years old. And so pretty bold of her to come out in this little Dallas Cowboy cheerleading outfit, right? But, more power to her, right? Everyone's like, go ahead, Dolly. But I think she was hanging on to that. I think she must be walking with a cane now. No wardrobe malfunctions. Come on. But it was really entertaining. She sang 9 to 5. She sang, what was the other song she sang? She sang We Are the Champions. And what was the first song she sang? I can't remember. But anyway, she's boy, I tell you what though, her voice is 100%. Her voice is 100%. She sounds just like the young Dolly Parton, because sometimes as people get older, their range drops a little bit and they have a hard time singing their songs. She sounded really good singing. Okay, so more power to Dolly Parton. Everyone's talking about her today though. All right, now let's get into one of the bigger topics, and one that I have a few articles on, and Gunfox dropped an article about this, and this is probably, it's one of the bigger topics trending on Twitter today too, and that would be what's going on in Ireland, okay? Over the weekend, there was a very, very awful event that happened in Ireland. Let me find the Breitbart article first. That caused riots to erupt all around Dublin, at least. I don't know if it was all over Ireland or not, but apparently, some how would I do this without being a racist? Some new arrival in Ireland. Basically, there was an attack on a bunch of school children, and I think. Well, let me get the article because I want to be sure I say this properly. Riots erupt across Dublin after immigrant is accused of a mass stabbing attack of children. Riots broke out across Dublin, Ireland late Thursday evening as Irish citizens took control of the city center following a mass stabbing attack where an immigrant man is accused of slashing 5 individuals near a school, 3 of which are young children, including a 5-year-old girl. Who does that? Who does that? That's someone who does not give a shit about life, their life, or anybody's life. According to reports, police confirmed that the suspect is an immigrant who has lived in the country for more than 2 decades. Police have not ruled out a potential terrorism link to the attack. During the attack, the suspect stabbed 5 individuals, 1 woman, 1 man, and 3 young children, before multiple local residents attempted to intervene. The suspect is reportedly hospitalized at the Dublin Mater Hospital, where victims are also being treated for serious injuries. Well, I hope he's locked down. During the attack, after word spread of the attack, Irish citizens took to the streets to loot stores, assault police, and set fire to multiple vehicles in Dublin's on Dublin's O'Connell Bridge. Now, this is interesting how they're describing this. This is Breitbart, who's definitely right of center as far as its editorial stance. Saying Irish citizens took to the streets to loot stores, assault police, and set fire to multiple vehicles. Now, I'm wondering if that's like an AP feed that gave them that information. The city's tram system was also set afire by rioters, according to showing from footage. Now, this is Andy Nose reporting. A source who witnessed the rioting in Dublin, Ireland, sent this to me. He said many Irish people who've had enough of violent sex crimes and housing issues caused by migrants and the revelation that an immigrant suspect allegedly was responsible for the mass stabbing. Let me see. I'll pull it up. Let me go back to because they're just getting stuff from Twitter anyway. So let's go back to Twitter. It's interesting though. They're saying that when they say Irish citizens. Oh, by the way, and also Conor McGregor spoke out about this. He said, "Isn't that something? The absolute picture of weak and feeble, the most divisive of all, is the weak man. One of the most horrific crimes this nation has ever seen has occurred. We do not care anymore that you sad cases have got to say." What? Oh, we do not care anymore what you sad cases have got to say. In a war, you are nothing. We are not backing down. We are only warming up. There will be no backing down until real change is implemented for the safety of our nation. We are not losing any more of our women and children to sick, twisted people who should not even be in Ireland in the first place. Call it what you want. We don't care. May God help us. Ireland for victory. Now, this is what he's responding to. Is this liberal Irish journalist who smears opponents of mass immigration as far right? The far right, the words far right, used over and over about the people mad about this stabbing spree this man went on. So a liberal Irish journalist who smears opponents of mass immigration as far right gets sent on his bike by local after showing up to the site of the stabbing spree today. So this is the guy, this is the journalist.
This is the fella that was walking around Dublin for the last 8 months calling people far right and racist. From the Irish Times he is. Hey, look at them all. Look at them all. Far right. Look at him. Look at him. There he is. Everybody remember him from a few months ago calling people far right and racist. Yeah. What are you gonna write in the Times tomorrow? Cry for help, was it? Was it cry for help? Fucking God. Look at all of them. Look at them. All of them. All fucking dying for a good story. They've put it back on the Irish people. Look at this gobshite from Virgin Media. Look at him. Pretend he's not listening to me. Look, we're not going to be intimidated anymore, all you. Yeah. Look at him. Coming down on his push bike just to get the story. Now, what are you going to say about the Irish people now? Are they far right? Are they racist? Are they racist? Are they? Yeah, you were laughing at them 8 months ago when you were telling you this is going to happen. All yous.
What up, Bishop? How you doing?
Yeah,
welcome.
Look at him. Good luck on your bike.
So anyway, he's pissed and yelling at this journalist. But anyway, let's see if Andy knows posts here again. Oh, and here's another example. Okay, so this guy says Muslim jihadists stabbed children in Dublin. Irish Prime Minister. The protesters against the stabbing brought shame to Ireland. This is the Prime Minister. Here's what he's saying.
To all those cowardly champions of Ireland who took to the streets of Dublin last night.
The cowardly champions.
Let me say one thing. Ask your sisters, ask your friends, ask everyone you know what they fear most on our streets. They're afraid of you. Afraid of your anger and your rage. Afraid of your violence, your hate.
Really?
And how you blame others for your problems.
Wait a minute. Now look, I'm not a fan of rioting in the streets, right? And I'm, so I maybe having a protest, but not destroying shit, right? But he's saying, wait a minute, what was the words he used here?
Your hate.
Your hate.
You blame others for your problems.
How you blame others for your problems. Who are they blaming for this one? What is he talking about?
As a government, we will be relentless in protecting our citizens and defending our people.
Except for the 5 people that got stabbed.
We will be on the streets in large numbers and will do whatever it takes to fight back waves of ignorance and criminality.
Yes, that's...
The Minister for Justice will coordinate with the Commissioner to ensure we never witness such terrible scenes as the 23rd of November 2023 ever again.
Okay, so he's blaming it on... He's mad at the people who are rioting, rather than saying, hey, understand your concerns and we need to do what we can to make sure events like this don't happen. No, he's coming down on them. He's coming down on them. Now, the other part too is, remember I said they said Irish citizens were looting and whatnot, except migrants. But these are not the Irish. When you say Irish citizens are looting, you expect it to be, a bunch of white people, right? But here it is, migrants looking for peace and security in Ireland use the anger of the Irish people at the stabbing of children to help themselves with some looting. Diversity is our greatest strength. You see the scenes where people are looting. It doesn't really look like necessarily the typical Irish person, but the more who may have been migrants. But then there were scenes like this. It is transpiring exactly as we forecasted nearly 2 years ago. The Holiday Inn Express Hotel in Dublin has been set on fire amid anti-immigrant protests in Ireland. And here's what he says. A global civil war between intersection groups is desired objective to facilitate the New World Order. This is a hotel they were using to house migrants. So this certainly could be the people angry about the stabbing. So you do not want to put other people in danger in your anger, but I understand the anger and frustration. But I don't agree with, burning down your own city. Here's Andy No's take that I was reading earlier. A source who witnessed rioting in Dublin, Ireland, sent this to me. He said many Irish people have had enough of violent sex crimes and housing issues caused by migrants, and the revelation that an immigrant suspect allegedly was responsible for the mass stabbing attack on children in the city center was a breaking point. So anyway, the Prime Minister steps in it. So here's the article from Gunfox, which we'll go through this one from the BBC reporting on this. And let's make it a little bit bigger here, though. There we go. Dublin riot, huge destruction after school stabbing leads to 34 arrests. Well, 34 arrests of who? Oh, the people rioting. Irish police have arrested 34 people after rioting by a, quote, hooligan faction, end quote, caused chaos in Dublin last night. Again, this is where everything's going to be far right now. Watch. Violence flared after 3 children and a school care assistant were injured in a knife attack in the city center several hours earlier. Taoiseach Prime Minister, I don't know how to say his name correctly, Leo Varadkar, said that about 500 people were involved in the riot. Really? Was it only 500? Okay, interesting. Interesting. 500. He said that they brought shame, quote unquote, on Ireland and promised new laws within weeks to bring those involved to justice. What? New laws about what? What law do you pass to stop that? I mean, aren't there already laws against rioting? That's interesting. Two of the 5 people injured in the stabbings outside primary school in Parnell are critically ill. Critically ill? How about critically injured? This is weird writing. Maybe that's just how they write at the BBC. They include a 5-year-old girl and a school care assistant who used her body as a shield in an attempt to protect children from the attacker. Wow, she's a hero. Just hours after the stabbing, rioters destroyed 11 police vehicles, while 13 shops were badly damaged and more were looted during the clash with police. 3 buses and a tram were also destroyed, and several police officers were injured during the over 3 hours of sustained violence. Now, this is the BBC reporting as, the way they do. Hateful assumptions. Yes, we hate it when children are knifed. Okay. Ireland's police chief, Drew Harris, blamed the rioting on a lunatic hooligan faction driven by far-right ideology. The extraordinary outbreak of violence had come after hateful assumptions were made based on material circulating online in the wake of the stabbings, he added. It is understood that included false claims that the attacker was a foreign national. Now, isn't this interesting? So someone who immigrated, now maybe he wasn't a foreign national. Maybe he had immigrated and became a citizen 20 years earlier, but he still was the attacker and he was still an immigrant. Which, you can't blame all immigrants for one shithead's, actions, but still, I can see where that might cause some issues. It is understood. Okay, sources have indicated to the BBC that the man suspected of carrying out the attack is an Irish citizen in his late 40s who has lived in the country for 20 years. Came to the country as a young man from afar. But, he's been there 20 years. These are scenes we have not seen in decades, said the An Garda Síochána Irish Police Force commissioner. What is clear is that people have been radicalized through social media. I'm curious. Because have you heard one statement about the attacker who attacked children with a knife? It's almost like they're so concerned about making them sanitizing their description of them, but then these people who are upset about this are being maligned. In their minds, at least, calling them far right is maligning them. Far right's not always terrible, I guess. 32 people. So yeah, they've been radicalized through social media. Well, how about the attacker? How was he radicalized? To be radicalized enough to undergo a knife attack on children? How radicalized do you have to be to do that? What did they have a motive of the stabbings at all? I mean, what kind of radicalization caused the person to stab people? I'm curious about that too. Probably this is about the riots though, so obviously that's not the focus of this article. But I'm curious about that. After the stabbings, rumors spread on the WhatsApp, Telegram, and Signal messaging apps. Oh, guess what? They're gonna try. Those are the laws that Ireland's gonna do. They're gonna make WhatsApp, Telegram, and Signal messaging apps more restricted. That's the laws. I was trying to figure out what laws would you pass. Those are the laws you would pass. They're going to stifle people's ability to communicate. Watch. Mark my words. Write it down. Hello, my favorite Canadian Jaeger ponies in the house. Nice to see you. And far right agitators decided they would protest at the crime scene. Oh, that never happens anywhere else in the world, does it? So you mean that the far-right agitators, quote unquote, have taken a page out of the Black Lives Matter movement? Is that what they've done? Is this an Irish Lives Matter movement? Complete with looting and burning down things? Although it seems the looting may have not been done by the hooligans. But they may have. I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence of any otherwise. So now they continue. But that escalated into violence, and the rioters, including children and young adults, soon took over a large area of the Dublin city centre. Irish Lives Matter. Irish Lives Matter. For months, there has been real concern that something like this could happen. Which part? Which part were there concerns about it happening? Were there concerns about someone who came here as an immigrant would stab a bunch of kids? Is that? Oh no, you meant that there might be a riot over some incident. That's what you meant. This article is amazing. So again, for months there has been real concern that something like this could happen. The far right in the Republic of Ireland has grown and become incredibly emboldened, recently holding a protest outside the Irish Parliament. Oh no! They held a protest outside the Irish Parliament? Oh no! It's terrible. But the violence on Thursday night was on a level not seen in Dublin in decades and has left the people of the city reeling. The Dublin Fire Brigade said a fire engine that attended the stabbing scene was later attacked by rioters. George McAvoy from fire service said one of the first calls that the truck responded to after the stabbings was a petrol bombing of a refugee center. He said the truck was pelted with projectiles and beaten with iron implements while its crew dealt with that incident. Under questioning from reporters, Commissioner Harris denied that his police force had failed to protect Dubliners and their city from the violence. No word on if they tried to protect the children from the knife attack. Again, it's a different article. So I understand why they're not focusing on that in this article. It just is, I'm curious how they covered the stabbing itself, though. That's what I'm curious about. We could have not have anticipated that in response to a terrible crime, the stabbing of school children and their teacher, that this would be the response. The Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors said police in Dublin needed more support and should be supplemented by officers from outside the city. The Taoiseach, that's the mayor, said the violence had left the nation unsettled and afraid. The entire nation, or just the ones who is it? Which? I'm curious. The entire nation, or does some of the nation have, I wouldn't say empathy or whatever for those people who are rioting, or that people might be fed up with some of the stuff that's going on. And again, they very well could be using immigrants as scapegoats. I'm not saying that they're 100% correct. I don't know the situation of immigrants in Ireland. But it's interesting, though. If there is certain things that happen there that people are upset about, how are they not addressing that? So the Mr. Varadkar said the rioters' motivation have nothing to do with Irish patriotism. Really? You've gleaned that from where? Quote, their first reaction to a 5-year-old child being stabbed was to burn our city, attack its businesses, and assault our police, he said. The Taoiseach vowed to use the full resources of the law to punish those involved, but added that Ireland's hate crime legislation was not up to date for the social media age. And there it is. That's what I told you. He wants to restrict the speech and ability to communicate of the people who are upset. You know what happens when you pend up their anger? You force them to keep it inside and not discuss and express their anger. It turns into a pressure cooker. And a pressure cooker is much more likely to explode than a pot with a loose lid. Just saying. A pot with a loose lid will not explode. It'll let off some steam. But a pressure cooker left under pressure too long will explode. So what are you doing here, Mr. Mayor? Eyewitness Patricia McBride, who is originally from Londonderry, said many of the rioters were young people, late teens, early 20s. But what was are these the people who are displaced by migrants taking their jobs, maybe? Could it be? Anybody? Guess what? The police did start off the violence. They batoned a homeless man, and that triggered a blowback. Did they now? I didn't know that. See, the more you learn when you have Irish people in your audience. She said, but what was disturbing was there was an older generation of people egging them on, she told the BBC. Well, maybe they're sick of this shit too. The knife attack took place outside of Gaelscoil Colaste Muir. My Irish language speaking skills are nil. A primary school in the city center after 1:30 local time. I just converted it, p.m. It is understood that a group of young children were lining up when a man carried out the stabbings. A fast food courier helped to stop the attack by taking off his helmet and using it as a weapon against the suspect, another hero. I just hit him in the head with all the power I have and he fell down, said Coy Benicio, who is originally from Brazil. So there's an immigrant who helped stop this asshole. Good. So see, not all immigrants are bad. We know that. Obviously not all immigrants are bad. A man in his late 40s who was seriously injured as a person of interest, according to police. What do you mean he's a person of interest? You have him in the hospital. He's a suspect in the hospital. They said they were not looking for anyone else in relation to the stabbings and were following a definite line of inquiry. Yeah, the guy who got hit in the head with the helmet is the guy that was stabbing people. Oh my God. Riot police were deployed after disorder broke out near the scene of the attack, including on O'Connell Street, which is one of Dublin's main shopping streets. Irish President Michael D. Higgins condemned the attack and the subsequent disorder, which he said deserves condemnation by all those who believe in the rule of law and democracy. Well, yeah, I mean, you don't want people rioting in your streets. You really don't. But, whatever. Irish lives matter. So there you go. Thank you, Gunfox, for that article. It's interesting listening to the BBC context of of what happened. Let's go to Daily Caller, though. We're going to do a couple of more of these, just different media that's covering it, and then we'll finish up for today. Tensions rise after multiple children stabbed in attack outside Irish elementary school, according to reports. A man was detained by Irish police after allegedly stabbing numerous people outside a Dublin primary school, leading to an uproar in the streets, according to multiple reports and video footage. Okay, notice this. Now this sounds just more straightforward, but we'll see if there's some right-wing bias in this article. I'm just curious. The incident happened around 1:30 p.m. According to The Guardian, a 5-year-old girl, a man in his 50s, and a woman in her 30s sustained serious injuries. A 5-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl are being treated for less serious injuries, per the outlet. The boy has been discharged from the hospital. Police say they detained a man in his 50s as a person of interest, the outlet reported. Irish outlet Gript reported that the suspect is understood at this stage by Gardaí to be an Algerian national. Okay, that's interesting. Someone said he was, the BBC said he's an Irish citizen. Maybe that reporting came later. According to a tweet, Garda Commissioner Drew Harris declined to reveal the suspect's identity, stating the protests were a result of a, quote, hooligan faction driven by far-right ideology, the Irish Examiner reported. Again, that's I believe the police chief or whatever. The stabbing reportedly happened as children were coming out of school. Bystanders disarmed the man and held him on the ground, kicking him. Witnesses told RTE, the Guardian, and I guess the Guardian noted, people were trying to attack the man, so me and my American lady formed a ring around him, saying we'd wait on the Garda with the police. 2 children and the woman were taken back into the school where they were coming from. It was absolute bedlam. And then they have video of angry scenes around London. Multiple cars and bus were set off on fire in the protests, according to video. The incident is being treated as a standalone rather than terror-related incident, Superintendent Liam Garrity said at a press conference. Helen McEntee, the Justice Minister, said the horrified attack has shocked us all amid calls for her resignation. McEntee released a statement about the protests on Twitter. Quote, "The scenes we are witnessing this evening in our city center cannot and will not be tolerated," she said. "A thuggish and manipulative element must not be allowed to use an appalling tragedy to wreak havoc." So the language in this one's very different compared to the BBC one, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I didn't have anything on the screen at any of the time. Wow, that is fascinating. I have one more. Let's see. This is PJ Media. Pipes are calling. Dublin burns after immigrant stabs 5, including 3 children. Dublin's burning after a man describes an Algerian allegedly stabbed 5 people at school today, 3 of them children. So obviously the BBC article is more up to date. Let's see. This is the BBC article is from this morning at 8:52 a.m. So it is in fact an Irish citizen, albeit naturalized Irish citizen. Let's see. Dublin protesters allegedly responded to this latest domestic terror attack by setting fire to vehicles and buildings, including a hotel used to house migrants. Irish police and news outlets. Obese. Now, this is clearly this one. Now, this article is actually taking a far more right of center take on this by this next line. Irish police and news outlet, obedient to their globalist Marxist masters, are turning on their own and referring to the protesters as lunatic hooligan faction driven by far-right ideology. Or maybe the Irish are tired of being attacked by people who are pipelined into their country by the globalists. That's a different take. Probably more accurate. Remember that term, far right. It is the latest hobgoblin moniker given to people who dare stand up for their rights, their family, and their country. Factorama, weak English cops sat on their hands for years and did nothing as Muslim men raped thousands of English women, many of them repeatedly for fear of being called racist. When forced to report on the sexual savagery, gutless news outlets referred to the rapists as Asian grooming gangs, hoping to hide their origins. Okay, so the world's news media apparatchiks sprang into action. England's BBC bent a knee to Klaus Schwab's types and described the attacker as an Irish citizen who has lived in the country for 20 years, which we just read, somehow forgetting to mention he is apparently Algerian. So, again, here's the tweet by Colin McGregor, who said, fuck you all. The Irish are protesting and demanding an end to mass immigration, which isn't easy since Ireland enacted draconian hate speech laws that make it all but impossible to state an opinion about immigrants, a person or persons, because they're associated with a protected characteristic. Oh, he scratched that and changed it. Without ending up in jail for up to 5 years. So you can end up in jail for 5 years for speaking out against immigrants, protected immigrants, apparently. So anyway, Ireland isn't alone. The worldwide battle against globalism is on. Argentina recently voted in the anti-leftist, left-hard populist. Spain has been protesting against socialism for 3 weeks. The Netherlands waved a big middle finger to World Economic Forum and voted in a pro-farmer leader. The usual bootlicking global news myrmidons, including CNN, Bloomberg, NPR, Reuters, and of course Al Jazeera, have all labeled the populist winner, Geert Wilders, as being a far-right boogeyman. So anyway, the people are starting to vote some of these assholes out and voting in people that probably don't please their local newspapers. So, and they will, the local press and the big media will not have it. So anyway, where is it? Far right was trending too, and I don't know what I did. Did I move it? I must have moved it. Oh, here it is. So other things that are trending because of this, the Irish is trending. because people are obviously talking about Ireland. It's interesting, though. Migrants looking for peace and security in Ireland use the anger of the Irish people at the stabbing of children to help themselves with some looting. Diversity is our great. So apparently the looting isn't all by the so-called far-right hooligans. Lots of journalists physically attacked and threatened in Dublin tonight, including myself and my colleague. Photographers and anyone identifiable as a journalist seen as a target by elements of the crowd because you guys lie about them. Demonizing it's representing this. Demonizing the Irish people for years, calling them racist and far right while they are simply concerned citizens defending their community has consequences, Yeah, I guess, that makes sense. But also far right is trending. And so a couple people pointed out, well, according to the media, far right now means you're against stabbing children, giving porn in schools, chopping off boys' body parts, adult men dressed as women, dancing sexually for kids, and giving kids irreversible drugs. Raise your hand if you're also far right. I guess so. If that's what it means, I'm just going to raise my hand. Far right when you're against the stabbing of children. So this is Sky News, Dublin stabbing. Again, far right protests after girl 5 among 3 children attacked in broad daylight near school. So do you really want that juxtaposition? Oh, yeah, see, 3 children and a couple people were stabbed, and you're far right when you protest that. Interesting. Again, you're now far right if you're against kids being stabbed. Holy shit balls, Batman. So anyway, do I have anything else here? I mean, I have other things. Oh, President Biden and Vice President Harris are trending. I don't know why. So let's just figure out a couple things that people are saying about them, and we'll call it a day. Breaking. I have just unearthed a video of President Biden billionaire friend David Rubenstein praising now convicted fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried. Biden is spending the Thanksgiving holiday at Rubenstein's $34 million home in Nantucket, Massachusetts. Great. Now, what's funny about that, don't they get mad at every time, like Clarence Thomas has a good friend from college that he hangs out with, and the guy's a multimillionaire, so he just, invites Thomas onto his yacht and all this other stuff, and they get really upset about that. Where's President Biden at some billionaire's $34 million home in Nantucket, who also just happened to praise Sam Bankman-Fried. Tim Scott, Americans hunt lower prices this Black Friday. Let's not forget who's responsible for the biggest cost of living hike in decades, President Biden. Well, yes, in some ways he is, in some way. Let's see. RFK trashes Joe Biden. He can't debate me. Let's hear Robert Kennedy Jr. here. I haven't heard much about him lately. I mean, he's out there still campaigning, but haven't heard a whole lot. Here's what he said.
I don't like to make predictions, but if I had to bet money, I would put the money on me and not on President Biden, President Trump. What is President Biden going to do? He can't debate me. He can't have an unscripted conversation with voters. I think the question, and he's losing to President Trump right now by 8 or 9 points.
Okay, now here's the other thing, though, that I got a good chuckle out of this, because there's a group of people who are all using the same line. This is George Takei, or Takei, whatever his name is. I'll do it in George Takei voice. I'm 86, and I'll proudly be voting to re-elect both President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in 2024. Pass it on. And so there's a bunch of people quoting that. So Michael Cohen, the shitbag who got he went to jail for perjury or whatever. I'm 57 and I'll be voting to re-elect President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in 2024. Really? Are you sure about that? Now, for whatever reason here, this is a parody of Vice President Harris. If your crazy relative tries to talk about Trump, politely remind them that only President Biden lowered gas prices by 5%. So And this is a little clown meme here. Here's another one, though. Here it is. I'm 67, and I'm proudly be voting to re-elect President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in 2024. Pass it on. Let's see what her talking points here. Biden has delivered the largest economic recovery plan since Roosevelt. What? Is it working, though? The largest infrastructure plan since Eisenhower. Now, if you're not familiar, the interstate road system is one of Eisenhower's baby. The most justices confirmed since Kennedy. The second largest healthcare bill since Johnson. Yeah, I know about those healthcare bills. And the largest climate change bill in history. Okay, are you trying to get me to vote for or against him? I think the federal government does a little too much, and especially when they take our money and send it to other places that don't have anything to do with us. Here it is. The Lincoln Project. Oh, the Lincoln Project. Now more than ever, a leader like President Biden is needed. These are Republicans. Remember these guys? It's funny. It's not like they come out and try to find alternative candidates. These are grifters extraordinaire. It's not like they're trying to find other candidates to beat Trump. They're just latched on to Joe Biden's shriveled up thing. You know what I mean? Now more than ever, a leader like President Biden is needed, governing for all of America and putting country first. Oh, I thought you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say put country first. Isn't that like putting America first? Is that a little clue close to that, isn't it? His dignity and diplomacy. He needs Depends. There's no dignity in wearing Depends. Our healing our nation. Oh, and what diplomacy? The diplomacy in Ukraine? The diplomacy in the Middle East? Calling the Chinese president to his face a dictator and almost causing another war. Holy shit. Hello, Midnight in Exile, too. Oh, my God. And then they continue. All right, enough. So that's President Biden trending. Kamala Harris is trending probably for the same reasons. Oh, yeah. It's probably because. So she's trending because all these people doing this. I'll probably voting to re-elect President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Yippee. Now, apparently, rumors are growing that Vice President Kamala Harris will lead the charge on the next round of mandatory vaccines, masks, and lockdowns. If she tries to lock her country down, will you comply? I'm in the hell no territory. All right, let's get to the Q&A. We got a Q&A section today because it is Friday, and that's what we do on Fridays. So let's do the Friday Q&A, and then we'll call it a day. Let's see. Let's open this up. Are there any questions? You can still add questions to Q&A if you want to. And of course, it's Avcast Diablo. There's plenty of Q&A questions. Let's see what we got here. All right. First question. How many hummingbirds would it take to kill a shark? Okay. How many hummingbirds would it take to kill a shark? All right. Okay. So let's think about this. Sharks are fish and they're in the water. Hummingbirds are birds and they're not in the water, nor do they go under the water that I know of. And so in order for hummingbirds to kill a shark, the shark would have to be either very close to the surface or out of the water. Now, let's just examine this. The water that keeps the shark alive, if the shark were near the surface, you'd probably need thousands and thousands and thousands of hummingbirds to stab the shark enough to cause it to die. Now, unless you could get the thousands and thousands of hummingbirds to grab the shark by its skin, lift it out of the water, and place it on a mountain, where then it would certainly die because it would not be able to find any way to new salt water. However, that's not likely. But if there was a shark washed ashore and the hummingbirds all attacked it at once before it died from not having oxygen from the water, it would take about 40,000 of them. But no, I don't know if that's going to happen. That was like way too thorough of an answer for that question. But I'm here for you, AD. I'm here for you. And the second question, as a matter of fact, is, it's the third question. Where can I get tiny little hummingbird-sized scuba gear? Well, I think there is the Hummingbird Scuba Gear Surplus Store in Van Nuys, California. It's a specialty shop. It's a very specialized shop. And in fact, it's only open on Thursdays from 9:30 a.m. to 9:37 a.m. So, you have to be really diligent and very timely to actually buy the Hummingbird scuba suits. But the problem is they only have 3 on any given day. So you'd have to go there every Thursday for several years to get enough for 40,000 of them. All right, next, can hummingbirds even swim? Oh, see, well, not without the scuba gear. So that it exacerbates the problem of that store only being open from 9:30 to 9:37. Did I say, not on Thursdays, every other Thursday. So it would even take you longer now. Okay, moving on. Why is it called shipping when it goes by truck, and why is it called cargo when it goes by ship? That's just one of those quirks of the English language. I can't help you there. All right, Kara Soldier has a question. What metal subgenres do you listen to? I'm a huge fan of symphonic metal. Well, I really don't listen to metal that often, except for on Metal Mondays, and it's not always metal. Sometimes it's punk, sometimes it's hard rock versus metal, and so I didn't know there were that many subgenres of metal. Like, for example, would you consider, when I think metal, I think of like Iron Maiden and early Metallica before they kind of went a little bit more commercial. Although they went, they had a little mainstream, or Anthrax. I think of that as metal, right? Would you also consider bands like maybe System of a Down as metal, or are they just kind of prog metal? I don't know. And look, I'm not really into the really out there, devil worshiping metal type. I wouldn't say devil worshiping, but using devil imagery, like Gwar, Gwar. What is that? Is that symphonic metal? I guess I would need a clarification what you mean by symphonic metal. And so therefore I have no answer for your question. Avocado Diablo says, do mermaids give birth to live young, or do they lay eggs? I'm not familiar with mermaids' holes. I don't know. So I'm going to have to defer to any experts in the chat. Speaking of which, I should probably have the chat up while I'm doing these to see if anything, what other things pop up as I'm answering these questions. I'm not a mermaid. Well, look, hey, wait a minute. Aren't there fish? Aren't there fish that give live birth? There's some fish. Not all fish do egg birth, right? I'm not really sure. Like sharks, don't they do live birth? I don't know. I'm not, man. So let's see. Oh, I knew you would ask these questions. Yeah, you were y'all up in my hummingbird knowledge, weren't you? You knew it. Okay, is it System of a Down? Is that a polite way of saying Down syndrome? Not exactly. It's a band. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the mermaid one, I have no idea. I'm not familiar with mermaid holes. Okay, again, Advocatus Diabli. If I had amnesia and were suddenly cured, would I remember that I had no memory? Now there's your devil's advocate question right there, because I have no idea. Anybody? Someone might have okay, somebody else answer that question in the chat. The question is, if I had amnesia and were suddenly cured, would I remember that I had no memory? You probably would. I would guess that you did. You're like, oh yeah, there was a time when I couldn't remember anything. That's that's like a question Norm Macdonald would ask. I'm just saying. All right. Okay, moving on. Again, Advocatus Diabli. Why are there self-help groups if it is supposed to be self-help? Are there self-help groups? Self-help groups. Well, maybe they just take notes and give each other notes on their self-help, and they can emulate each other. I don't know. That's that's another Norm question, I guess. All right, let's see. And Twisted Sister. Oh, that must have been when I was talking about We're Not Going to Take It. Yes, it's Twisted Sister. Okay, AD, LOL. I thought I was typing in, that last in the regular chat. Ignore it and his. Oh, okay. Well, it's too late now. I did not ignore it. Hello, Patio Furniture. What's up? Okay, last one from AD. And you still have a chance to get questions if you have questions to ask me. I don't know what you're going to ask me about. Let's see. Last question from AD. Did you know Wednesday, is that supposed to be Wednesday, was the 36th anniversary of the Max Headroom incident? Stupid explodey head always steals the thunder. The Max Headroom incident. Okay, let's look up I'm not sure what you mean by the Max Headroom incident. And I remember watching Max Headroom when I was a kid. Max Headroom incident. I don't know what that is. Let's see here. The signal hacking or hijacking. Okay. On the night of November 22nd, 1987, the television signals of two stations in Chicago, Illinois were hijacked, briefly sending a pirated broadcast of an unidentified person wearing a Max Headroom mask and costume to thousands of home viewers. Oh, okay. Let's we'll go back to let's look this one up. I didn't know about this. Maybe I did and I just don't remember it. The first incident took place during the sports segment of independent news station WGN's 9 o'clock newscast. Like the later signal intrusion, it featured a person wearing a mask swaying erratically in front of a swiveling corrugated metal panel, apparently meant to resemble Max Headroom's animated geometric background. Unlike the later intrusion, the only sound was a loud buzz. This interruption went on for almost 17 seconds before engineers at WGN were able to regain control of their broadcast tower. The second incident occurred about 2 hours later during PBS member station WTTW's broadcast of the Doctor Who serial Horror of Fang Rock. With nobody on duty at the affected tower, the signal takeover was more sustained, and the masked figure could be heard making references to the real Max Headroom, advertisements for New Coke, the animated TV series Clutch and Cargo, WGN sportscaster Chuck Swirsky, greatest world newspaper nerds, and other seemingly unrelated topics. So that's interesting. I forgot all about that. Speaking of Doctor Who, this is also, today would be the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. Had it survived the stupid shit they tried to do to it in 2018, wasn't it? When did Doctor Who finally die a sad death because they tried to make a female Doctor Who and all of those? Oh, I think it was 2018. But anyway, this would be the 60th anniversary of the premiere of the Doctor Who series. So there you go. All right, select a boy. Which company do you think makes the best watches? I have no idea. In theory, I guess Rolex, I don't know. There's some Swiss companies that are known for their watches. I have a freaking Apple Watch, so I don't know. It's funny because other than Apple Watch, people don't wear watches as much as they used to. I used to wear a watch all the time, and maybe it's because now people have phones. They can just look at their phone to see what time it is. So that's an interesting phenomenon. And finally, let's see, is that the last one? Anyone ever say that you almost resemble the comedian Sinbad? Oh no, never heard that before. Yeah, it's funny. When I was younger, and I didn't wear facial hair, I've heard the O.J. Simpson one when I was young. And I kind of could see it. I used to get Mario Van Peebles all the time because I used to have my hair. I used to wear my hair in just a kind of a pseudo flat top, and people say, "Oh, you look like Mario Van Peebles," and I've heard the Sinbad now that I'm older, and the facial hair thing makes me look like Sinbad. So I've heard it. I've heard several things, but those are the three that I've heard the most in my existence. All right. Now there's a couple articles I'm not going to get to. Oh wait, maybe I will do this one. No, I don't think so. But there are. I'll leave the Max Headroom Wikipedia article up. There's a couple articles that I'm not going to do because I don't have time. But here's where they are. One of them is A Dark Thanksgiving. My son had the courage of his convictions about Israel at school, and we both paid a price. Someone. Here's the basic thing. On Monday, October 30th, the day before Halloween, I received a blast email from the principal of my youngest son's high school that chilled me. It read in part, quote, "I'm writing to let you know that we are aware of a potential for a student-led demonstration that may occur Wednesday during the school day. This walkout is not sponsored by the high school or the county school administration. The information we receive from student leaders is that a student-organized demonstration is in support of the people of Palestine. Due to the sensitivity of this issue, the school will have an adult supervision and extra security to ensure the demonstration is conducted in a peaceful way. Any non-peaceful acts or non-compliance with staff direction will be subject to the county school system code of behavior." County school system, they're not naming this county. Employees are expected to be viewpoint neutral related to this protest. Once the protest is over, students will be expected to return to class. Now, I read this email after 3 weeks worth. I'm just going to go through it. After 3 weeks worth of reports regarding the beheading of Jewish babies, the tearing open of wombs of Jewish mothers, the slaying of children in front of their parents and parents in front of their children, the setting of Jews on fire, the raping of Israeli women until their pelvic bones broke and blood ran between their legs, all of this gleefully filmed by the perpetrators and immediately uploaded in celebration on social media. Perhaps even more pertinent to my reaction of outrage and dread, the email followed a week-long gut pummeling I had endured while reading story after story about America's supposed best and brightest students and professors at vaunted Ivy League universities leaping to defend and celebrate the barbarians of Hamas. I had watched kippah-wearing Jewish students cowering in the Cooper Union Library in the face of mob of Hamas supporters screaming Jew hatred at them through windows, held back only by the library's locked doors, with campus security either helpless or passive, and the New York Police Department refusing to break up the mob. Thank God the 11 Jewish students were led away by a librarian or security guard through a back exit and tunnel. But a librarian had first offered that they should go hide in the library attic, and I'm sure unintentional echo of Anne Frank's experience in Amsterdam. Brain sizzling, I considered my youngest son, 16 years old and a junior in high school, a budding artist who spends hours each day on his computer creating digital characters and alien landscapes, vivacious, talkative, outgoing, with a charming and warm smile for everyone he meets. Already half a head taller than me, wearing his frizzy hair in an enormous poof, which my wife and I jokingly refer to as this Jewfro. He has struggled since childhood with aspects of autism and a severe sensitivity to stress, but he has made enormous strides since entering high school, cultivating a nurturing circle of friends, some of them Muslim. Our county in Northern Virginia is considered the state's most diverse. With the last 10 years, 2 mosques have opened down the road from us, about 3 miles from my son's high school. This past 4th of July, I had seen in front of one of the mosques a cart decorated with red, white, and blue bunting and a sign announcing Muslims for America. It reminded me of a black and white photograph that my grandmother, as a young woman, recently arrived in Cleveland with her family from Lithuania after fleeing a pogrom across a frozen lake. Okay, he wrote that poorly. She escaped across the frozen lake. Anyway, in the photo, she wears a straw boater and clutches a little American flag, displaying it proudly. Seeing that cart in front of the mosque touched my heart. I wanted to think the best of the people who worship there, the same people with whom I shared my local coffee shop, who attended school along with my son. Yet I knew the number of Jewish students at my son's school to be fewer than a dozen, outnumbered by Muslim students by a ratio of at least 50 to 1. And I'd watched video after video of angry crowds on college campuses in New York City streets chanting for Israel's destruction. One of those mobs burned an Israeli flag and and getting into fisticuffs with Jewish students marched on a New Orleans street that bisects the campus of Tulane University and borders my alma mater, Loyola University. This spring, I published a novel I had written a dozen years earlier, End of Days, that featured an anti-Israel, anti-Jewish mob of Tulane students nearly succeeding in immolating a Israeli consul when he tried giving a talk. What I had intended as satirical fiction had turned into a horrifying reality. Reading about the incident at Cooper Union pushed me to seriously consider buying a gun. For the first time as a born American, I felt in my gut I could no longer trust the police to protect me and my family should the worst come. Yet, I thought I still had time to prepare, to do my research, to train myself in marksmanship and gun safety and get it right. But now, the wave of anti-Jewish fervor was outracing me. About to envelop my own space, the school my youngest son attended, barely half a mile away from our house. Every cell in my body and brain was screaming, fight or flight. I immediately wrote the following email to my son's principal. Let's see. I'm not going to read the letter. It's a letter concerned about the announcement. And we said, let's see. I hope you fervently realize the slogan, Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, is not a call for a peaceful two-state solution, but instead a call to murder or at best drive out every single Jew from the entirety of what once was the British mandate, all of Israel proper, not just the West Bank. This is a call for genocide, a reflection of the Hamas charter that calls for the extermination of every single Jew on earth, including your students, name redacted. I impress upon you to consider how well you'd handle any students who support the KKK or Aryan nations and who advocate on school grounds for the murder of ethnic cleansing of all Black Americans. Would such a hypothetical student be expelled from your school? If the answer is yes, I demand that the same standard be applied to any students who chant or display the genocidal slogan quoted above. Tried to find an email address for that school system superintendent, but I had to go through an online portal to send her a message. Less than an hour later, I received a reply from one of her assistants written in the same cold, mechanical bureaucratese I have learned to write for my own job, asserting that proper procedures would be followed for the safety of all students assured. The header of the email from the official porter stated, quote, "The current status for this request is closed." More than an impersonal bureaucratese of the response itself, this digital slamming of a door in my face made me feel like I was in a Kafka novel, a nameless man trapped in a maze of unscrutable bureaucratic malevolence. I wrote back to the person hiding behind the portal. Thank you for your response. You state that any non-peaceful acts or non-compliance with staff direction will be subject to the school system's code of behavior. Please answer this question for me. Are the calls for the genocide of Jews and or Israelis considered non-peaceful acts? For that is what the slogan, Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, means, making the entirety of the former British mandate, including all of Israel and the West Bank, free of Jews, by any means necessary. In the legal world, as I am sure you are aware, this is considered incitement of violence, which goes beyond protected speech, certainly speech by minors on the grounds of a government school during a scheduled class times. Should I discover that this slogan or other comparable genocidal slogans are being either spoken or displayed on the ground of my son's schools, I will investigate my legal options for this and will have constituted the official allowance by Principal A and the county school system leadership for the creation of hostile work environment for my Jewish son, and thus a violation of my son's civil rights as a student of a public school. You got no reply to that one. Hang on, let me put the chat back in. Oops. Chat. There we go. I received no reply to the second email, robotic or otherwise. That evening, I shared with my son the original email from Principal A and my reply. His response was a drawn-out expletive that rhymes with duck. Initially, he said there was no way he wanted to go to school Wednesday, the day of the scheduled protest. My wife and I talked it over. I felt he shouldn't cower and stay home from school because his missing school due to fear would constitute a tiny victory for the Hamas terrorists. One of the major goals is to make Jews afraid for their lives and safety, but I was also But I also said I wouldn't force him to go in on Wednesday if he didn't want to. My son, however, after a little independent reflection, decided he would go to school after all. Furthermore, he intended to wear blue and white clothing, the colors of Israel's flag. Anger and defiance had pushed aside his fear. He told my wife he meant to bring a sign to school on Wednesday to counter-protest. She strongly suggested that he speak with his school counselor that next day, Tuesday, to share his concerns and to get feedback whether or not counter-protesting would be a safe thing to do. Early Tuesday morning, I received a phone call from Principal A in response to my email of the day before. In contrast to the coldly mechanical response I had gotten from the school administration, which might have well have been written by ChatGPT, I could tell I had a real person on the other end of the line. I could hear somewhat embarrassed caution in his voice as he introduced himself to an obviously very angry, very upset parent. He sounded generally regretful that circumstances had led to this conversation. He began by saying he fully understood my concerns by allowing the Wednesday protest to take place was not his decision. His hands were tied by directives issued by the school system attorneys. He explained that for the past several years, based on U.S. Supreme Court First Amendment rulings, students had been permitted to organize walkouts on school property during scheduled class times, and principals were not allowed to choose which walkout causes are approved and or which are disallowed, which is probably the right policy. I represented my concerns about the creation of a hostile environment for my vulnerable son, one of only a tiny handful of Jewish students on his campus. He tried to assure me that he had done what he could to minimize the planned demonstration's disruptive impact. He had met with 3 student leaders of the event, getting them to shorten the event's allotted length. He told them they could not take their protest outdoors, where it might spill over into the highway in front of the school, but would have limited it to an inside venue. He impressed upon the leaders that they must avoid hate speech. However, he could make no assurances that this promise would be adhered to by their followers. If hate speech, hate speech, what the fuck's hate speech? Okay? The only thing, they can't incite actual violence. That's all you can do. If hate speech or calls for violence did occur, he would immediately shut it down, yet he admitted, prior to reading my email, he had been unaware that common Palestinian slogan, Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, is a call for the genocide or ethnic cleansing of Jewish Israelis from Israel to the West Bank, and the West Bank. I felt badly for him. He struck me as a decent, well-meaning man placed in an untenable situation by his superiors. I thanked him for his honesty. He ended our conversation by telling me, sotto voice, that he agreed with everything I had said. After having witnessed pro-Palestinian student walkouts at other county high schools, he both dreaded and fully expected his own student would step over the red lines he had laid down. My son followed his mother's suggestion and met with his school counselor to talk about what might happen the following day. When he showed her the email I'd sent to Principal A, she seemed nonplussed, even a bit cold. Oh, she didn't like that. She displayed no sensitivity to his vulnerability as a Jewish student at the school where Muslim students vastly outnumbered their Jewish peers and were planning campus events where the world's only Jewish state would be anathematized. He asked her opinion on whether he should counter-protest. She answered him by saying the school staff were required to be politically neutral and he was free to exercise his First Amendment rights. Although pleased that she supported his rights, he was very unhappy, even angry with her tone and the general dismissives. The previous day I joked with my wife about the possibility of the school counselor telling my son that Jews were a part of the white oppressor class and could never be victims vis-a-vis people of color. She didn't say this out loud, but based on what I heard, she was likely thinking it, allowing her dogma to outweigh her professional responsibility to a child with a registered emotional disability. I don't know. The part about the disability is not necessary. This shouldn't, whatever. Early that week, I forwarded my initial response to my rabbi. He put me in touch with the congregant who worked on reducing incidents of anti-Semitism in K-12 schools. She suggested I contact the Brandeis Center and the legal arm of the Zionist Organization of America, and she highly recommended that I file a civil rights complaint with the Virginia Attorney General Civil Rights Office on my son's behalf. She also suggested I ask my son if he would be willing to join the walkout on Wednesday and film the event with his phone. That's probably even a better idea. I had to give the last suggestion some hard thought. My initial reaction was that I couldn't ask my son to put himself in that sort of position. However, once I heard him talking about making a one-boy counter-protest at 180-degree turnaround from his initial fright, I suggested to him that he would actually do a lot more good if he were to observe the goings-on and unobtrusively film the event. By that way, if the student did cross the line, Principal A had lain down against hate speech and calls for violence. We would have proof vital for the success of any legal proceedings. I also said I would not push him into doing this, and that if he didn't want to, I would in no way think any less of him. He would have to live with his fellow students for another year and a half. However, he quickly warmed to the idea, agreeing it was a better course of action than a counter-protest. He even seemed gleeful and excited that he would get to act as a spy. I told him he was darn brave. I shook his hand. I sensed I was shaking the hand of a man, a peer, not the little boy he sometimes remained in my mind's eye. Wednesday morning at 11 a.m., I received a call from Principal A. He said there had been an incident at the protest involving my son, that my son was not harmed, but that I needed to collect him from the principal's office and take him home because he was badly shaken up. He told me my son had gotten into an altercation with school staff at the protest. Oh, with school staff at the protest, had tried absconding from campus and had to be tackled in the grass by a police officer. What? Driving the half mile to school campus, I wasn't panicky. I just felt numb, but with the rising anger simmering beneath the numbness. It had happened. The tendril of Hamas barbarity and the madness of Middle East had reached all the way to Virginia to exurb to snare my son. I found my son waiting in the conference room outside the principal's office, along with Principal A and one of his assistant principals. Principal A's first comment to me was odd. He said a positive outcome of the morning events was that he now knew who my son was. He walked past him at the protest and wondered about the boy recording everything. This struck me as rather cavalier on his part, having been amply warned about the vulnerability of an isolated Jewish student. Why hadn't he sought my son out prior to the event, or at least had one of his assistants do so? Another jarring oddity for me was the pair's outlook on the morning events. Although they voiced sympathy for what my son had gone through, they both acted as though I should be grateful they weren't punishing him for having cursed at and struggled with the administrators who had restrained him. I asked my son to tell me the story from his viewpoint. The assistant principal interjected partway through that a corner of the auditorium stage had been set aside for expressing of opposing opinions. That seemed like very weak sauce. Oh, I see. And let's see. That seemed like weak sauce. And my son retorted that no one had known about it, and so no one had availed themselves of it. Principal A said he had not yet decided whether or how to discipline the 700 students who disobeyed the instructions by exiting the building. He frowned on that possibility, saying it would be far too disruptive to discipline so many. Alternatively, he was considering disciplining the protest leaders only. He defended himself and his school by stating that similar protests had occurred the past week at high schools across the country. He mentioned that his school board administration had asked for feedback on these student walkouts and their levels of disruption. I implored him to find the personal and professional courage to push back against the country's ridiculous, corrosive, and dangerous policy of allowing laissez-faire student protests, particularly on such divisive issues as the conflict between Israel and Palestinians that threatened to pit students against one another and introduce heightened religious and ethnic animosities in the school. He passed a note to me across the table with a single word: Tinker. The name of the Supreme Court case upon which the school board and its lawyers based their policy. He said he would do what he could. We shook hands. So, after a brief drive home, my son sounded strong and determined. I told him he had done nothing wrong, and that given all the circumstances, well, he doesn't know if he did anything wrong or not. He doesn't know why the administrators tackled him yet, because maybe he knew the story by then. Anyway, given all the circumstances, he had acted as best he could. He said he would immediately upload the digital video he had recorded to a private YouTube channel so I could watch and share it. He'd filmed the entirety of the event, from when several hundred students gathered in the auditorium. Principal A had told me the number was 700, and another school employee I know told me she heard it was estimated at 900. But from what I could see in my son's video, it didn't look much more than 200 kids, to when the rule-breaking outside excursion began breaking up and my son was being restrained by school security and administrators. My initial intention in watching was to see whether any calls for violence, genocide, and ethnic cleansing, either coded or open, had been made. I found that, perhaps due to guidance provided by Principal A, chants of free Palestine, Palestine will be free, took the place of from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. The former can have the exact same meaning as the latter, of course, determined by whether the speaker means a Palestine limited to the West Bank and Gaza, or a Palestine that encompasses the entirety of the former British Mandate minus Jordan. But there is more than enough wiggle room for lawyers to quibble over whether the students had actually incited violence or not. Well, even if they'd said the worst of the two, I don't know if that necessarily is inciting violence, but it's certainly because they're stupid, because kids are stupid and don't know what they're saying. But obviously that phrase certainly is intended to incite violence when used by the right people or the wrong people, however you want to rephrase that. So, what the three speakers at the rally, the leaders of the demonstration, did do, however, was spread modern-day versions of blood libels against the Jews. They shouted that Israel was conducting a genocide against the Palestinian people and had been doing so for 75 years. An odd sort of genocide, given that the Palestinian population in the territories has grown more than fivefold since their Nakba in 1948, that Israel imposed apartheid in 1948, that Israel bombed the Children's Hospital in Gaza in recent weeks, a piece of thoroughly debunked propaganda, and quoted inflated Gazan civilian death toll sourced from the Gaza Ministry of Health, an arm of Hamas. Yet on later reflection, what I was really watching was a bunch of teenagers cosplaying at being resistance fighters and revolutionaries. Does that surprise you? Their keffiyehs and Palestinian flags left over from some Halloween party the night before. The three organizers, 2 girls and a boy, were surely living the dream of virtually every team competing for followers on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, leading an auditorium filled with hundreds of their peers in a passionate call and response, their every dramatic assertion answered by cheers and applause. Absent specifics, the event could not have been a student-led pep rally for a school football team on the cusp of a championship game. Instead, despite a brief pro forma expression of regret for the loss of life on October 7th, it was a pep rally for 1,500 blood-crazed assailants who had invaded bucolic farming communities and a music festival organized around a theme of peace between Israelis and Palestinians, and then carried out a pogrom worthy of Cossacks. My son provided spontaneous commentary as he was filming, brief outbursts forced out by emotions churning inside him. After all, he was equally as young and unformed in his 3 peers on stage, with one of whom he shares first period class, just as immersed in daily hours of social media, just as hungry for acceptance and validation and lionization as they. Yet he was on the opposite side of this Alice in Hamas land looking glass, mouse-sized instead of 20 feet tall, threatened instead of secure, furtive instead of openly triumph, and alone against nearly a quarter of this school. His feelings dismissed instead of resoundingly cheered. I listened to him quietly mutter with shock and disbelief as the crowd entered the auditorium. There's so many people, so many, even people I know. Look how many frickin' people are here. I heard the hurt in his voice. God, I know some of these people. I recognize them. As the 3 student leaders recited their speeches, my son can be heard to say in a low voice, boo or no. At the end of the 3rd speech, he was overcome with too much pent-up emotion and yelled at the stage, Hamas is putting rockets in the schools. Then the male leader announced that the protest would be exiting the building and making a procession around the school, a direct violation of the rules the principal had. Notably, neither Principal A nor any school officials mounted the stage to warn the gathered students that this was not allowed. The pumped-up crowd began meandering out of the auditorium, chatting excitedly. My son climbed onto stage for a better vantage point. Other students began to notice him filming. Many of them smiled at him and wagged their index fingers and pinkies, assuming he was in favor of the protest and would be uploading it. Other students weren't so sure of his motives. Some hollered at him, "Why are you filming? Are you for Palestine?" Other students passing close to him shouted, "Palestine, Palestine." One asked questions that can't be made out in the video, and my son answered incredibly given the circumstances, "I'm Jewish." Other kids exclaimed excitedly, "Jewish, Jews, or Jew," followed by laughter and whoops. One kid dressed in grunge clothes drew close and said, waving his index finger, "We're not going to hit you, bro. It's fine." A couple other kids tried to interject some multicultural melanist saying into my son's camera, "We love the Jews. We love all races." Some out of the camera range interjected, "We despise them." The friendlier kids replied, "No, don't say that." In the hallway outside the auditorium, uniformed security guards directed the crowd to the exit doors from the school. One can be heard to say, "Baby, you got to go this way, outside." My son reacted with outraged disbelief as he watched the rules being massively violated, encouraged and directed by the school security and assistant principals. He went immediately to a woman security guard and said, "Outside? They said they weren't allowed to bring this outside." Another adult voice in the background can be heard saying to a group of students, 10 minutes, that's all you've got." The security guard answered my son, "That's not up to me, hun. That's up to your group organizers, okay?" My son, completely exasperated, says more to himself than the guard, "Fuck them." Children and I consider teenage children instinctively demand fairness and are outraged when fairness is denied. Being on the autism spectrum, my son might even be more disturbed by perceived violations of fairness than other children are. He got more and more worked up as he approached the exit doors. "They said they wouldn't take this outside. Liars, they lied, Dad," he said to me, knowing I would eventually listen. They fucking lied. The dim indoor footage gave way to the too bright sun of a cloudless fall morning. Within the outside amphitheater, kids happily brandished their Palestinian flags. A girl student with a battery-operated megaphone began leading the crowd in a call and response shout of "Palestine will be free," and "Palestine kids," and "we will say it, Palestine will be free." My son alone, amid the chanting throng, screamed at the top of his voice on the edge of incoherence, "Palestine is, Hamas wants to eradicate the Jews." The crowd erupted into raucous cheering. It is unclear whether they were cheering themselves or cheering for the awful point of undeniable truth screamed by my son. The male student leader, also with the megaphone, then announced it was time to exit the amphitheater and return to class. The crowd slowly began heading back inside, students in no hurry to resume the normal school day. My son, likely seeing his opportunity for a counter-protest slipping away, burning now with the need to express himself, approached the female protest leader who had been leading the call and answer response chants in a surprising soft and polite tone and asked, "May I borrow that?" He met her megaphone, the gesture a sign perhaps of him being both 16 years old and on the spectrum, still requesting and expecting a show of fairness. Of course she curtly told him no. A moment later, despite the student having been told to go back inside, the girl with the megaphone resumed the same sets of chants she had led earlier, then paused to thank the students for having come out in support. This was the moment when my son finally lost any shred of composure. He began screaming, "Boo, boo, boo." There was a break in the footage, perhaps a few seconds. It picked up with my son walking on the grass as the crowd parts before him, screaming in all directions. Hamas wants to eradicate the Jews from Israel. Hamas wants to eradicate the Jews from Israel. Hamas wants to eradicate the Jews. I could hear him grasping for breath between screams. He sounded as though he just ran a half marathon. He did not get in any fellow student's face with these wounded cries as they walked away from him. An administrator approached him saying, "You need to walk out this way," pointing away from the doors through which the tail end of the crowd was streaming. My son screamed, "No, you're violating my rights. Fuck you." The administrator, perhaps accompanied by another administrator or a security guard, it's unclear from the video, moved in to restrain him. "Bud, you need to walk this way. Move this way." At that point, the video ended. What happened next was my son elbowed and fought his way out of the administrator's constraint. I'm reasonably sure the school staff members witnessed what they considered a student emotionally out of control and tried to isolate him so he could calm down. But my son felt both in the heat of the moment and in his thought afterwards that he was being selectively silenced. The only kid to suffer censorship, the lone Jew in the midst of a crowd who had enthusiastically cheered slanders and blood libels against his people. A crowd that had been allowed to encourage and break the stated rules. He ran towards the exit from the school grounds towards home. Half a mile away, a county police officer brought in for extra security spotted him and ran after him. The officer tackled him to the grass before he could reach the road. Then he was brought to the principal's office, and Principal A phoned me. "Oh, wow," I said, stunned and heartsick at having watched my youngest son prodded into an emotional meltdown. He and I share a fondness for horror films. What I thought of then was the scene in Dawn of the Dead. A member of the motorcycle gang removes a zombie from his path by hitting the creature in the sternum with a sledgehammer. The sound effects technician had done an unforgettable job with the hollow thump. I told myself I'd just been hit in the sternum with a sledgehammer. I went into a state of hyper-focused activity. I shared my son's video with anyone I knew who might care and be able to make some sort of difference. I compiled a dossier of everything that had happened and all communications. I updated the complaint I already made with the Virginia Attorney General's office. I made plans to reach out to the Brandeis Center legal arm. I checked back with the attorney from the Zionist Organization of America and provided all the fresh, jagged details of my son's ordeal. I wanted nothing more than to nail the school administration's asses to the wall, feeling only a large financial judgment against the system could convince them to alter policies that had hurt my child. My son, emotionally drained, had taken a nap. Oh, okay, I'm gonna end this here because this is really, really long, and it's not anywhere near being done. But if you'd like to hear the resolution of this, the article is going to be in the links. But holy shit. It has to be, it has to be an explicit call for violence. That's why the school has no power to stop what the kids say unless there is an explicit call to violence. Absolutely realize that. But I can't imagine, man, if you're one kid out of a few handful of Jewish students having to hear this. I'm sure it's traumatic. And honestly, the school probably protected him by making him wanting to have him use another exit. I don't know if they needed to chase him down and tackle him and bring him back to the principal's office, though. It would have been probably better if they just let him go home and deal with it with his family or whatnot. But it's a crazy story. It's a crazy story. And I'm sure it's one that's being replicated throughout the country right now. So it's a tough situation, but that's it, guys. I gotta call it a day. The rest, that article and more, will be in the links, including everything we saw today. And I want to thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live on this Friday. I'm so glad you all made it. And I'll be back on Monday, normal time, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, on my dog day overnight trips through the UPS hub in my town. It's going to be some long days coming up, guys. So I might fall asleep during the middle of a stream, but we'll do or do. All right, guys, it's time to go. Thank you. My name's P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.